Fala rapaziada, tudo na paz? Bom, começando mais um vídeo aqui no Lance Livre, nosso primeiro vídeo no mês de setembro. Setembro que é sempre uma boa oportunidade para falar sobre saúde mental, né? Tudo bem que todo dia é dia para falar sobre saúde mental, mas setembro o pessoal costuma dar mais atenção, né? Então, por que não aproveitar, né, para trazer esse conteúdo aqui para mais pessoas poderem assistir? Um videozinho que eu acho sensacional para todo mundo que curte esse assunto, para quem já faz terapia, para quem busca fazer terapia. Então, não sei se esse é o caso. Esse vídeo aqui do Draymond Green conversando com o Demar Derozan é sensacional e eu aconselho você a assistir até o final. Pelo menos assiste até o final do vídeo deles, que eu vou primeiro passar o vídeo deles inteiro para não atrapalhar, porque é uma aula, não vou acrescentar em nada enquanto eles estão falando. Aí depois que terminar eu dou minhas considerações, né? Mas o foco aqui são esses dois, porque a conversa é de altíssimo nível. Então vambora. Bom, a minha ideia inicial era trazer esse vídeo no Twitter, né? Mas, o que acontece? Estamos sem Twitter. Esse vídeo está sendo gravado no dia 31 de agosto e o Twitter não tá rodando mais no meu computador, só no celular. Mas eu dei muita sorte, um pouquinho de inteligência também, né? Não faz mal pra ninguém. E baixei o vídeo antes. Deixa eu só pegar aqui rapidinho. Perfeito. Apreciem essa aula de 7 minutos com Draymond Green e Demar Derozan. O crédito pra NBA das Minas, né? Que fez esse trabalho incrível de legendar pra gente. Então, valeu NBA das Minas.
I have a question. Help me get to therapy. As someone who's done it, like, help me get there, because I can't get myself there.
Listen, I was the same, bro, I was the same way. I was the exact same way. I used to find every excuse not to go. I remember the first 2 times I went, I was in there just bullshitting like, yeah, that happens. No, yeah, sometimes. I'm in there bullshitting and I'm doing it a disservice. You know what I mean? When it's like, because in my mind, I'm looking at you like, yo, you don't come from the same walks of life as me. How you gonna understand if I break down this story about when I was 12 years old, I got jumped by 6 dudes because I had on the wrong color. And I gotta walk back to my grandma's house and explain to my mama what just happened. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, do you know what comes with that? You know what I mean? Like, so I used to find every reason to avoid that, to where I just got to a point to where, like, let me treat this like it's a film session and really just indulge in it and see what I can find. You know what I mean? Even if it's one thing I could find, like, that's how I really looked at it. Like, let me treat it like a film session. Even though I know what happened in the game, let me see if it's something I could see that could help me that next possession. And that's how I took the approach about it. And I said in my first one that I really took serious, and it opened something up to me and made me realize why I indulged in such a dark place so much, and I was okay with being in such a dark place. And it took me back to my dad being a person who always used to lock me in the closet. So I was crying, screaming, kicking the door, he laughing, to where the day I stopped kicking and screaming to get out the dark closet, he stopped putting me in there. And it became a norm to me to be okay with being in the darkness. And that just translated to so much chaos in my life. Like, I needed chaos because I felt comfortable in chaos because I had it and went through it so much. I needed it. I thrived in that. You see what I'm saying? To where once they put it in that perspective, I was like, what the fuck? It opened up so much other shit to me, to where it's like, all right, as long as I could find out one thing bit by bit over a span of time, it's going to amount to some that I probably never would have figured out if I didn't go to therapy. You know what I mean? And that was the approach I took towards it to help me. Yeah. Cause I was the same way, bro. Same way.
I feel like
Muito foda, tá maluco?
it's going to uncover shit that I may not be ready to deal with, but once it's uncovered, you cannot deal with it.
You can't deal with it. But that goes back to what I said, to where sometimes you gotta allow life to break you down, even when you're not ready for it, so you could realize what you need to be better at. You know what I mean? We can't pick and choose when we want the good and the bad to come. You know what I mean? You gotta take it and understand once it break you down, all right, how can I build up to be better? Like, in some shit you gotta uncover so you could be the best you down the line, whether it's just a father, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? And that's the approach I try to look at it like, because I was terrified of certain shit getting opened up, because we try to seal, like, I know for me, I used to try to forget so much. Like, I don't look at, like, pictures from high school. I I don't like looking at pictures with my homeboys and all that shit because there's so many people that I lost that I always felt like if I look at that picture, it's gonna take me back to certain moments that I try to forget never happened. You know what I mean? And I was like, I can't be that way because I'm just cutting out a piece of my life that I'm carrying unconsciously, but I'm acting like it didn't happen. But I gotta understand why I can't look at these pictures or why, because like I need it because I'm still running from so much shit. Like, you know what I mean? So I try to get myself to the point of understanding, let me just chip away at one thing at a time with myself emotionally because like it helps me out in moments. And I think even going into this past season, I found such a calm emotionally, what made me do a lot of things I was able to do in games this year because it was like it just put me at ease. Like nothing else mattered. But this moment right here, nothing else mattered. You know what I mean? And it took a lot for me to get there. And that came from therapy, honestly.
The first therapist you saw is still the same one that you...
No. I ain't gonna lie, I went to about 3, 4.
So how do I get comfortable with, like, how would I identify that, you know what, like, actually this not the right fit?
I know for me, the therapist that did it for me, he broke himself down and made me feel comfortable with, all right, cool. He made himself vulnerable in a sense of it just not being about me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He gave me a whole rundown like, yeah, I'm blah, 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 blah. My dad was this, you know, I came from this and this. Like, you gave me a whole rundown that made me realize, okay, like, shit. You got a story of your damn self. So, all right. And it became a conversation. Yeah. It didn't become, I'm reading off this sheet. So, Draymond Green, I see you from Michigan. Okay, so tell me about, it wasn't that. It was more so like, God damn, like we two human beings really having this conversation and you look up 2 hours go by and you really done dug in some shit. You know what I mean? And that's, for me, that's how I knew. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go through the laying on the couch, you know, yeah, I have a dog. You know, the generic bullshit, you know what I mean? It was something that just connected both of us and it didn't feel like bullshit. It didn't feel like you talking to me because you learned this through school. It was like you talking to me because you want the betterment of me as a human being. Like, and that made it easier for me to have conversations after that. I thought going to therapy was, I thought all type of shit. I'm like, man, if I go to therapy, but it helped me channel my powers even more in a sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no bullshit, like going, and granted, it's one of those things that you got to just continue to go through. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm gonna go 5 times and I'll be good. Like, it's just one of those things. I try to go at least once a week, and sometimes this is once every other week.
Preciso até beber uma água depois dessa. Cara, eu não tenho nem o que acrescentar. Tipo, eu preciso falar mais alguma coisa, tipo, por que é importante terapia e tal. Tipo, acho que não precisa acrescentar nada, né? Mas assim, caso mesmo depois dessa aula do Derozan você ainda não, né, acho que ainda não precisa ou não quer ir atrás por qualquer que seja o motivo, busque pelo menos um autoconhecimento, tá ligado? Porque tudo isso que o Derozan falou, tipo, acho que durante a fala dele dá pra tirar pelo menos uns 3, 4 insights, né? Dependendo de como você esteja no momento. Mas eu acho que, tipo, o ponto central disso tudo é a gente é fruto das nossas vivências. A gente não é como a gente é por um acaso, você é assim porque sim, você é porque você é um fruto de todos os processos que você passou. E às vezes a gente age de uma forma sem saber o porquê. Por isso que ele cita, né, a importância da terapia, pra gente se entender como uma pessoa e tentar sempre buscar a nossa melhor versão. Então se você acha, tipo, não precisa e tudo mais, cara, pelo menos tenta fortalecer isso, tenta sempre buscar entender por que você é assim, como você age nas situações. Enfim, acho que o autoconhecimento é tudo. Eu falo isso muito como experiência própria também, depois que eu comecei a ter um cuidado um pouquinho mais com esse autoconhecimento, sinto que a minha vida mudou pra caramba. Óbvio que não é só isso que faz a vida melhorar, né? Mas ela facilita muito você, né, canalizar a sua energia para as coisas certas, você tentar, né, entender onde você pode melhorar sempre e tentar buscar ser sempre a sua melhor versão, né? Mas é isso, rapaziada. Queria agradecer primeiramente a NBA das Minas por disponibilizar esse vídeo, né? Trabalho, porra, sensacional de legenda. roubei do perfil dela, mas o merchan tá aqui. Se vocês curtiram, tem muito mais conteúdo maneiro assim no canal delas, então vale dar aquela... Depois que o Twitter voltar, né? Dá pra deixar o follow nelas, que, porra, vale a pena. E aproveitar também, né? Como eu sempre deixo aqui no final, o merchan do Lance Livre, né? Porque a gente também tem a nossa página no Instagram, na rede de dancinha também. O @olancelivre você encontra a gente. Se a gente for pra outras plataformas também, Blue Sky, Threads, @olancelivre você vai encontrar a gente também. E é isso, espero que esse vídeo tenha servido pra você da mesma forma que serviu pra mim também quando eu vi a primeira vez. Eu encontrei esse vídeo de novo por acaso, dando uma olhada nos meus itens salvos e deu vontade de trazer pra cá. Então espero que tenha valido a pena, você tenha curtido e tamo junto. Um beijo.